Welcome to a Sunny Side Up Life podcast, a show for the woman who is ready to live an abundant life full of freedom and positivity. I'm SAMI Womack, and I'm on a mission to help you break free from survival mode, gain financial freedom, stay motivated, and focus on what matters most. Join the movement and let's start living on the brighter side of life together. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode. This week we are going to be talking about why money is so emotional. All right, so this is probably going to be a short episode today, but I hope that it is packed with a lot of information and a lot of encouragement. So let's just jump right in. So, you guys know that money isn't everything, okay? It's not everything. You know, we have our family, we have our spiritual beliefs, we have all of the good things in life that aren't necessarily money. But in a very real sense, money is kind of everything, right? And it's so tangled up in this complicated thought process of money isn't everything. I don't need money to be happy. But also, yeah, I kind of do. And it gets so tangled up and confusing, and we feel so conflicted on it. So that's what we're talking about today, is why money is so emotional and how to handle this. So in order to have a successful, happy, healthy, safe, and secure life, you need a certain amount of money, right? You need to have a certain amount to take care of your family, to take care of yourself, to make sure that you have food to eat, you have a roof over your head, you're safe, you know, you have money in case you get sick, and you have a little bit to have some fun with, to do some hobbies, to go and do things with your kids and all of that, right? And because there is a certain amount of money that is necessary in life, we have to make learning more about money a goal. It's just a necessary part of adulthood. Like it or not, there is a level of it that is completely necessary. And I'm not saying that you necessarily have to aspire to be the next Warren Buffett or the next Kardashians and have all of these flashy things like they do, or be this multi-billionaire investing guru like Warren Buffett is. We don't have to aspire to either one of those levels of wealth. But April is Financial Literacy Month. So now is as good a time as any for you to explore your current knowledge of your financial situation and to think a little bit more about it. And so many people in the debt-free community, in the personal finance community, in the FIRE community, all these people in the money world are doing so much for Financial Literacy Month in April. A lot of people are doing challenges and special coaching groups and posting extra and all these things. So if this is the push you need to kind of think a little bit more about it, April is the perfect time to do that. So why should we worry about this? Why should we want to improve on it? Because your money is directly tied to every single thing you do. Like it or not, it's a necessary evil, or it's a necessary joy, whichever way you want to look at it. It's necessary. Money is directly tied to every single goal that you have in one way or another. Even if your goal is to run a marathon, there's a little bit of money involved there, right? There is the money involved to get the good running shoes, Sorry for that awkward pause. I got interrupted by a child. Anyway, where were we? If your goal is to run a marathon, that's what we were saying. You need money to buy the good running shoes. You need money to maybe enter into the race. Sometimes they have an entry fee. You need to be comfortable enough in your financial situation that you can afford the time off to practice running, to have the day off of the marathon, like all these little tiny things, to invest in the protein shakes, to buy the good meat, the good vegetables, things to make your diet right, like all of these things. And although at face value, having a goal to run a marathon might not look like a monetary goal, but there is still money behind it. And that's what I mean, where there is money directly tied to every single thing that you aspire to do, all of your goals, all of your dreams, and all of your fears, just like that, like the good and the bad, right? All of our desires as well as all of our fears. Money is tied to everything. Therefore, there is so much emotion tied up in our money. There is so much of our mindset and our identity and all of these things tied up in our money. And that's why when you tackle your money, when you have it tamed, when you've tamed that beast, you get to focus on all of the other details of everything else. Okay? And money is not just numbers on a spreadsheet. And in fact, it doesn't even really matter what those numbers say. It's about how you use those numbers, how you let them help you improve your life, right? There's so much energy tied around money. And I actually have just re-listening to You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. It is probably my all-time favorite book. And I listen to it every once in a while. And I love the audio version because she narrates it herself. If you can get an audiobook where the author narrates, they're the best. So she narrates it herself and is amazing. And she tells this story about $100 bill and the fact that the $100 bill itself is just a piece of paper, right? But the energy surrounding that $100 bill, that's what the story is about. And that $100 bill, it's not that $100 bill's fault or reason how you got it. And she tells this story of it could be the same piece of paper, but how'd you get that piece of paper? Did you work your butt off doing a job that you love and it has great energy around it, like energy of success, energy of fulfillment, of, hey, I'm doing something that's my calling? Or did you steal that $100 and that $100 has guilt and shame? Or did you earn that $100 doing a job that you hate and it has a negative emotion tied to it? Like, yeah, I earned it honestly, but I just feel so lousy. Or anything in between, right? The $100 bill itself is not to blame for the energy around it, but there is a significant and important amount of energy around it, whether we like it or not. And we have this incorrect notion that money should be removed from feelings. And you hear people will say a lot in the personal finance community, especially on Instagram, where they'll say, leave your personal life out of this, stick to money. We don't want to hear about this. We don't want to hear about your emotions. Stick to money. Stick to talking about money. And how can you not? How can you not? Because the two are so closely related. And that if we removed the feelings behind that, if we removed me talking about my kids from my money page, like I'm doing air quotes, money page. If I quit talking about my kids, if I quit talking about my desire to retire my husband at 50, if I quit talking about my hobbies and the things that bring me joy, there would be no reason for me to talk about money anymore because I would have no emotion behind it. It would be 5 + 5 = 10. Like it would be that lame. There would be nothing to talk about. But when I share the emotion of why we got out of debt, why we have been living in this small house for almost 4 years, why our goal is to have $1 million net worth, why I want to teach financial literacy and why I want to pass this empowerment on to my own children and all these things, suddenly it all makes sense. Suddenly it all makes sense of why we want the freedom, why we have the desires. And when we remove the emotion from the money, it's just a flat piece of paper that means nothing. It's a worthless piece of paper with a number 100 on it or whatever, right? It means nothing. And I'm here to tell you that money can tell me everything I need to know about a person's priorities and their emotions, their dreams, their desires, their insecurities, everything. When I coach someone for the first time and they tell me, I like to just keep, this is just a random example, I like to just keep $10,000 in my bank account because I fear that if I get too far away from that $10,000, it'll go away. And that instantly tells me you probably grew up with a scarcity around money. Yeah, because if you are squeezing on to every single dollar and you're scared to invest it, you're scared to let it get out of your eyesight, you're scared to even transfer it into a savings account, you've got to keep it like in cash or right in your checking account. That tells me that there's something in there that is an insecurity about money, that is a lack mentality about money, that there's a scarcity there. And everything else that I need to know. Everything else. Because it is that emotional. And a lot of people will say, show me your bank account and I'll show you what you care about. And that is so true. I can tell, and everyone is different. That's why it's personal finance. Personal finance is personal. Your priority might be that you want to eat only organic, or you want, only grass-fed meat. And it's going to be more expensive than the person over here that's like, you know what, I just went to like Kroger and got whatever was cheapest on meat because, hey, I'm trying to have a really strict grocery budget. Either way, I can tell you what is important to you. And there's not a right or wrong. And that's the magical, beautiful thing, that there is not a right or wrong. But your money gets to reflect your priorities. And it gets to reflect what you value. And don't get that confused. Just side note, don't get that confused with how you spend your money tells me what you value. Don't confuse that with your personal worth is tied to your income, because that's not true. Like, oh, you make 6 figures, so you're better than this person who makes 5 figures. No, we're not saying that at all. But I can tell you how you spend your money, what you prioritize, reflects your values. I'll give you some client examples really quick of how money is emotional and how it can reflect your priorities. I have several clients who have older kids, and their kids are involved in activities, sometimes expensive activities, ice skating, gymnastics, baseball, right? Expensive hobbies. And they spend a good bit of money. And on the call, they're like, hey, this is a priority for our family. And yeah, it's expensive. I see that it's expensive. And is that okay? I'm like, yeah, that's your priority. And as long as you are aware of, hey, this is going to probably slow down my debt timeline, my debt payoff timeline. It might even push my retirement back a year or something, because, we're spending thousands of dollars a year on this hobby that my kid has. It's important to them. Or one client where we're setting up her budget and she's budgeting all this money for her dog. Okay, yeah, he has grooming, he has his regular checkups, he has this medicine, he has his vitamins, he has a special food, and she's adding all this up. And I'm like, okay, what about your fun money? And she's like, oh, I don't know, like $20 is fine. And I'm like, you realize you're spending twice as much a month on your dog as you're spending on yourself. And she just busted out laughing, and she's like, I never realized that. And she was like, that makes sense. I value his happiness, and it's okay, but just be aware of it. And like, is it accurate? Are you okay with valuing your dog's happiness more than your own? If that's true, sure, cool. Do you. If you're okay with valuing your kids' hobbies and activities, sports and things like that, over maybe pushing back your retirement a year or slowing down your debt payoff timeline, if that's okay, then cool. But just make sure that you're aware of that. Or you can't tell me that money is not emotional. When we talk about some of my clients, especially almost all of my clients are moms, not all of them, but almost all of them. And I have so many who, if they do work, if they are income earners, they want to cut back. Not all of them, but some of them. They want to cut back. And so one of my clients in particular, they have rental houses as their side hustle. It's way more than a side hustle because they have 5 or 10 properties. And her goal is to get the rental properties high enough that she can cut back her job to part-time so she can have more freedom, so she can have more time with her family. You're not going to tell me that there is not emotion in that? That's huge. The freedom is huge. For us, our main goal is to get my husband to retire at 50 to 55. Somewhere in there. He wants to retire at a pretty young age because his job is really stressful and it's hard for him to travel and it's physically exhausting and all these things. And that's so emotionally loaded. And when I make a financial decision, I make it with the emotion and the thought behind how will this affect our retirement. As we're building our house, I'm thinking, how will that affect our retirement? Because that emotion is so strong for us. That goal is so strong for us. That dream is so strong for us. Okay? So I want you to think about that. And I want to leave you with a couple of actionable steps. Okay? So since it is Financial Literacy Month, I want you to, if you're not already, first of all, make sure that you're following me on Instagram at A Sunny Side Up Life. And then while you're over there, search hashtag debt-free community. Search hashtag fire community or money goals or any kind of hashtag like that. And find other people to follow as well, people that you resonate with. Maybe someone that has the same job as you or has the same number of kids as you or has the same goal. Maybe their goal is to travel full time, to live in an RV, to, I don't know, all these things. Live on a sailboat, move across the country, whatever it is. Find people that you resonate with and connect with them and realize that, you're not alone in your hopes and your dreams, your desires, and all these things. I also want you to take some time and write down your money goals. I want you to do the heart work and dig deep to find what you really want out of money and what you really want out of life. I'm going to put the link in my show notes for my free course, Magic and Money. And it is all about finding the magic within yourself and how that ties into your money. And it's a whole mindset course and it's completely free. And it's amazing and you're going to love it. And thousands of people have already been through it. I also want you to think about actually setting up your budget if you haven't already. Okay. I have my full budgeting worksheets that are called the Digital Budgeting System. I actually just released the brand new updated version. And they're available on my website. They're $20. You get lifetime access, free updates. They're everything you need to set up your budget. Only $20, you guys. And they are amazing. And you can read more about them in the show notes, or you can just go to my website and you'll see products and it'll be in the products drop down. Okay. I want you to think about this. Think about those big goals that you have. And also don't forget that if you need some extra personal assistance with this, if you need someone on your side, if you need a fully customized plan, that's what I'm here for, okay? And I also am going to be opening up coaching again in a few weeks. You can get on my website for one-on-one coaching, and you can get on the waiting list to be the first to know when new spots are going to open. They'll open very soon in a few weeks. You guys, everything that you need to get started to dig in more is there. It's on my website. It's on Instagram. It's here on the podcast. Go back and listen to past episodes if you're just now finding out about us. Okay? Everything you need is here. All right? So don't sell yourself short. Remember that it's okay if there is emotion attached to your money, and just keep going. Okay? I believe in you. I'm here for you. And that is all for me this week. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, guys. Thanks for hanging out for another episode of a Sunny Side Up Life podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend because you never know who needs to hear this message. If you haven't already, please leave a review and subscribe. Reviews and subscribers are what help the podcast grow and what help new ladies find our community. And again, thanks for hitting play on this episode and for investing some time in yourself today. Remember that I'm always here to support you and I'm always cheering you on along the way. Don't forget that everything that we mentioned in this episode will be linked in the show notes. All right, that's all for me this week. Bye, guys.